The Tale of the Forest Fairy's Roses. Once upon a time, in a distant land, in a forest covered with lush and tall trees, there lived a young fairy. This fairy loves flowers very much, especially roses. He had a garden full of colorful roses right next to his cottage in the forest. The roses of this garden are so beautiful and lively that those who see it are amazed. The fairy girl also loved her roses in her garden, gave water in the morning and evening, loved them and chatted with them. Although the fairy girl was happy in this rose garden, there was something upsetting her. She was the untimely fading of her beloved roses. The fairy girl was very upset when her roses withered. Roses fade after a while and drop leaves. The fairy girl was not used to this situation. She always wanted her roses to look fresh and beautiful. Fairy girl talking to herself. I wish my roses were always this beautiful, she said. Early one morning, the fairy girl went out to water the flowers in her garden. She drew a black rose bud among the flowers. This black bud was also very beautiful like other rose buds. But the color was different from the others. It was a very vibrant and beautiful color tone. That's why the fairy began to look at the black bud more beautifully and carefully. Every morning she said kind words to him. The little black bud will grow into a big beautiful black rose. As if the bud understood this, it grew more and more beautiful day by day. When it was a big rose, it would shine like the sun in the sky among the other roses in the garden. It was so beautiful that those who saw it couldn't get enough of looking at the black rose. The fairy was also aware of this and was very happy. But because she knew that the black rose would wither one day, she felt a deep sadness. A day has passed, a week has passed, a month has passed. During this time all the roses in the garden withered, giving place to new buds, except the beautiful black rose. Although a month has passed, the black rose has not faded and has not lost anything of its unique beauty. At first, the fairy was very surprised by this, but she was still happy. Because the most beautiful of her roses has not withered. The good-hearted fairy watched her from the window of her house every day, watered her carefully, and said kind words to her. The fairy is starting to get bored of this job. The black rose never wilted, but it no longer gave happiness to this fairy. Because the fairy had no hope for the black rose. Previously, when the roses withered, wondering when the new buds would emerge, she patiently cared for them and waited with hope for the time when the roses would bloom. But now that the black rose has never withered, such thoughts are gone. This made the fairy unhappy after a while. She realized how wrong she was by not wanting the roses she had grown to wilt. It is best to love everything in its natural state. Therefore, from that day on, the dryad decided to accept everything in nature as it is. For many years, the forest fairy led a happy life in her home with the roses she grew in her garden.